Emma Carson sat alone at the corner table in the high school cafeteria, her lunch untouched, her cheeks burning with humiliation. Around her, laughter echoed off the walls, cruel and cutting. She had made a mistake, a terrible miscalculation born of pride and desperation to fit in. She had told them about her grandfather. It started innocuously enough during history class. Mr. Patterson had been discussing military operations, and conversation had drifted to Navy SEALs. Jake Morrison, the football captain whose father was an Army officer, had dominated the discussion with confident authority, speaking as if he knew everything about special operations. Emma had listened quietly until he said something wrong, something that contradicted everything her grandfather had taught her. Without thinking, she had corrected him. "That's not how SEAL teams operate," she had said softly. The classroom went quiet. Jake had turned to her with that smile, the one popular kids use when they're about to destroy someone socially. "And you would know this how?" he had asked. Emma had swallowed hard and spoken the truth. "My grandfather was a SEAL. He served for 23 years. The laughter started immediately. Emma Carson, the quiet girl who wore second-hand clothes and lived with her grandfather in a modest house on the poor side of town, claiming military royalty. By lunch, the story had spread and mutated. She was saying her grandfather was a legend, some kind of super soldier from the movies. The mockery was relentless. "Let me guess," Jake said, approaching her table with his entourage in tow. "Your grandfather single-handedly won the Vietnam War? Maybe he knows Batman too?" The cafeteria erupted in laughter. Emma felt tears threatening but refused to let them fall. Her grandfather had taught her about honor, about standing tall even when the world pushed you down. "His name is Master Chief William Carson," she said quietly. "And he was one of the first SEALs to serve in Vietnam." Jake pulled out his phone, making a show of searching the name. "Funny, I don't see any Master Chief Carson on any legend lists." No books, no movies, no Wikipedia page. More laughter. Emma wanted to explain that her grandfather was exactly the kind of SEAL who would never seek recognition, who believed the mission was everything and personal glory was nothing. But the words stuck in her throat. What Emma did know was that her grandfather was at that moment driving to the school for a prearranged visit. The principal had invited him weeks ago as part of a Veterans Day assembly, though William had initially declined. He didn't like attention, didn't want to parade his service like a trophy. But Emma had asked him to reconsider, had told him how much it would mean to her. For his granddaughter, he would do anything. The black SUVs pulled into the school parking lot precisely at noon. 8 men emerged, all wearing khaki uniforms with ribbons and insignia that spoke of decades of classified operations. They moved with the quiet confidence of warriors who had nothing left to prove. Leading them was a bear of a man in his 70s, his frame still powerful despite the years, his bearing unmistakably military. Master Chief William Carson walked through the school corridors flanked by 7 former teammates, men he had bled with in jungles and deserts whose names appeared on no public records. The principal met them outside the auditorium, her handshake respectful, her greeting warm. But before they could proceed, shouting echoed from the nearby cafeteria. William recognized his granddaughter's voice, raised in defense, cracking with emotion. His jaw tightened. The other SEALs exchanged glances, their protective instincts immediately activated. They changed direction without a word, moving toward the cafeteria with purpose. The cafeteria doors opened. 8 men entered, and the laughter died instantly. Students who had been jeering moments before fell silent as they recognized military bearing, as they saw ribbons and badges that even civilians understood meant something significant. Jake Morrison's confident smirk faltered as he took in the trident insignias, the bronze stars, the purple hearts. William Carson walked directly to his granddaughter, his weathered face softening as he placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You okay, sweetheart?" he asked quietly. Emma nodded, unable to speak, tears finally spilling over. Then William turned to face the room, and his expression hardened. "My name is Master Chief William Carson," he said, his voice carrying effortlessly across the silent cafeteria. "I served with SEAL Team 1 from 1968 to 1991. These men with me are my teammates. We don't have Wikipedia pages because our operations were classified. We don't have movies because we did our jobs and came home without needing applause. One of the men stepped forward, a stern-looking African-American man with silver hair. "I'm Command Master Chief Robert Hayes. I served alongside Bill Carson in operations you'll never read about. This man carried me out of a hot zone in Cambodia when I took shrapnel. He is exactly who his granddaughter says he is." Another SEAL spoke up, his voice thick with emotion. "Bill Carson is the reason 12 of us made it home from a mission in the Gulf that went sideways. He stayed behind to ensure our extraction while taking enemy fire. He received the Silver Star. He never told anyone outside the teams because that's not who he is." Jake Morrison had gone pale. His father, he suddenly realized, would be horrified. Army or not, every military family understood what the SEAL Trident represented. Around him, other students were pulling out phones, searching, finding references to SEAL operations, understanding that classified meant absence of information, not absence of service. William looked at the boy who had led the mockery. "Son, before you question someone's honor, understand that the loudest heroes are often not the real ones. The quiet man living simply might have more courage in his little finger than you'll accumulate in your lifetime. My granddaughter doesn't need to prove anything to you. Her word should have been enough." The assembly that afternoon was different than anyone expected. William spoke briefly about service, about sacrifice, about the teammates who never came home. But mostly he spoke about integrity, about standing by your word, about defending truth even when it's hard. Emma sat in the front row, surrounded by 7 legendary warriors who had come because one of their own asked them to, because a young girl needed them. When Jake Morrison approached after the assembly, his apology was genuine, his shame evident. Emma accepted it with grace her grandfather had modeled her entire life. As they walked to the parking lot later, William put his arm around his granddaughter. "Proud of you," he said simply. Those 3 words meant more than any vindication. Sometimes the greatest battles aren't fought with weapons. Sometimes they're fought with dignity, truth, and the quiet strength of knowing who you are.